So we'll look now at how to add, multiply, and even divide complex numbers. For some of these, the rules are similar to real numbers, but for multiplication and division, the rules are substantially more complicated. So let's start by taking a look at addition. Adding and subtracting complex numbers is very straightforward. All we do is take the real part of the numbers we want to add and combine them together. And then we take the imaginary parts of the numbers we want to add and combine those together. So for example, 2 minus I plus 3 plus 2I is simply 5 plus I, because I add the real parts 2 and 3 and the imaginary parts minus I and 2I. To do multiplication, we simply have to remember to distribute everything correctly. So this is similar to multiplying linear polynomials, degree 1 polynomials. So essentially the question is whether or not you distribute correctly. There is one catch here, which is that I need to remember that I squared is equal to minus 1. So we see that, okay, I distribute A to C and DI to get AC plus ADI, and then I distribute BI to C and DI to get these. But then I remember that BDI squared is equal to BD times minus 1. So I get a minus BD component of my real part. Other than this, things are essentially the same. So let's look at a few examples, all of which will involve multiplying. So I have 3 plus I times minus 2 minus I. So again, I'll distribute correctly and then recognize that I squared is equal to minus 1. So I get 3 times minus 2 minus 3I minus 2I minus I squared. So that's negative 6 minus 5I plus 1, because I squared is minus 1 and I'm subtracting that. So I get minus 5 minus 5I. Here, I play a similar game. In fact, I had the same factor twice. I'm squaring something. So I get 4 times 4 plus 4 times 2I plus another 4 times 2I plus 2I times 2I. So 8 plus altogether 16I plus 4I squared, which gives me 4 plus 16I, remembering that 4I squared is minus 4. So here's a slightly more complicated one that involves 3 factors. So I'll write this as 1 plus 2I plus I squared times 1 minus I. Right, I first evaluate 1 plus I squared. So this is 1 plus 2I minus 1, substituting in minus 1 for I squared. So I have 2I times 1 minus I, 2I minus 2I squared, and at last 2I plus 2, since minus 2I squared is positive 2. We'll look now at just one last example. We have I times I minus 1. This is I squared plus I, which simplifies to minus 1 plus I. Great. So multiplying complex numbers is very similar to expanding products of degree 1 polynomials. The only trick is to remember that I squared is equal to minus 1. So we can replace that term in our expansions.